She reached, so Bhakti personified tells Narada Muni that after traveling through several places in India, she reached Vrindavan. Then she declares her resolution of leaving from Vrindavan to go to foreign countries. Idam sthanam parityajya videsham gamyate maya. Leaving this place, I will go abroad. Now, this one, it doesn't even exist. It's so strange to find that this, like, it's just non-existent quote. And I can go to the here. This is Padma Puran, what we're talking, 194.57. And you can see 194.57. It doesn't exist. In Uttarakhand, it's not there. This is the 57th verse. Gyan, Gyan Vairagya, like that. It's not that same verse. And I looked through the whole of this 194. I don't find it anywhere in the whole 194. So it could be there somewhere. I don't know where, but it doesn't exist. This is not the 194.57, but nor in all of 194. Could be there in Uttarakhand. I don't know. I couldn't figure out. If someone has any reference to it, please do share the actual reference. But this code of Bhakti Devi and all this thing is it's not existing. Then there are four other predictions listed from Ramanujacharya Sampradaya and from Madhvacharya Sampradaya. Now this one, it says prediction by Sri Vishnu Charitra, which is, let's go here. Says there will come a race, 110, will come a race which will tread the earth with raised hands and vertical tilak on their foreheads, who will chant the names of Hari. This will destroy the influence of Kali. Now this is supposedly from Divya Prabandha 110. I could not find it. The 10th verse. It doesn't exist. So I don't know from which Divya Prabandha. I mean, there is only one Divya Prabandha, but it's not even existing. So, and I asked a Sri Vaishnav scholar, he says it doesn't exist. So that's another problem. Now, similarly, in this Srila Madhvacharya's, there is supposedly a book which is there, so Madhva Vijaya. In that last chapter, it doesn't give a reference to that. It just states in the last chapter the real knowledge of the difference between Jiva and Sri Hari. The service of Sri Hari will spread all over the world very shortly. Now, that one, it just talks about Sri Madhvacharya's glories. Doesn't talk about in the future somebody else will come. Let us see. Let me go. This, this is the PDF. I looked through the whole of the Prabhu, Krishna Kishore Prabhu, you wrote that it is Purna Prjna Dasa's translation. Which translation, which book is that, Prabhu? Sorry, I didn't see the message earlier. Is that Chaitanya Mangal? So this one, I mean, I can go there. It's like the last chapter or so of the book. And all of this verse, all of this chapter is talking about the glories of Madhvacharya. And I can't find any close to it which says something else will be happening because of another devotee. Talking about Madhvacharya doing all this. Madhva, Madhva, Madhva. It's all about Madhvacharya. So even if it says which there is no reference that all over the world, even if it says that it's in reference to Srila Madhvacharya. Yes, Prabhu?
Yes, bro. I was meaning that this Chaitanya Mangala, which is very widely known in English, is mostly from the by this devotee who he translated this Purna Prjna Das Prabhu. So he refers as singular, not as plural, like you were asking whether it was plural or singular. So he refers as singular. So it's
Oh,
his translation. I think, I believe that. I kind of remember that. So he translated the singular. So maybe we can ask that devotee or research about the book. But I think it's his translation.
would you like to do that, Prabhu? I want to get to the bottom of it to see why he translated it like that without having any preconceived notion. I don't know if the other translation is correct, but I'm going by the 11,532. It kind of matches it, you know. So that's how I feel more inclined to believe that this translation of singular is not correct. But I don't know for sure because we are not reading the direct Sanskrit of anything. Okay. Now this one. So Madhvacharya, we saw this is, I don't know where it is coming from. Even if it is there because of the lack of reference, even if it is there, it is referring to Srila Madhvacharya. So I don't know if anybody independent of, like people who really want to screw out a meaning for Srila Prabhupada, but Madhvacharya followers will not accept it. Other sampradayas also will not accept that Srila Madhvacharya, it's not, I don't see any like independent authorization for it. Then in Srila Ramanujacharya, it says Prapannamrita Tarpan in the last chapter. Supposedly it says the pure devotion of Sri Hari, devoid of karma and gyan, will grow and grow like a banyan tree, covering the whole world, teaching everyone who takes shelter. Now this one, I forgot, what was it? I couldn't even find this thing, actually. I couldn't even find this reference, this book. I searched far and wide, talked to many people, I couldn't find it. But again, this has no reference verse stated. It is only a summarization or picked up for inference from the last chapter, which could be quite big or quite small. I have no way to know. So if someone has this book and this last chapter, please do share. I couldn't figure that out. The last one, which devotees talk about from Sri Ramanujacharya Sampradaya, is this prediction by Sri Namalvar, which exists and is beautiful to read. So we can read that Divya Prabandha Tiruyavamoli 521. Let me go there. This is by the sacred assembly of devotees, the earth has become heaven. It's kind of, this is that verse, TVM 52521.
கலியும் கெடும் பொலிக 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 போயிற்று வல்லுயிர் சாபம் நலியும் நரகமும் நைந்த நமனுக்கிங்கு யாதொன்றுமில்லை கலியும் கெடும் கண்டு கொம்மின் கடல் வண்ணன் பூதங்கள் மண்மேல் மலிய புகுந்திசை பாடி ஆடியுடி தர கண்டோம் ஒலி.
It goes in that refrain. It's beautiful. So a simple translation they are doing, and I have no way to know whether it's good or correct. So we'll just assume that it is correct. Hail, hail, hail! The new era is arrived. Heavy sins are gone. Hells filled with misery are destroyed. Yama's hordes have no work here, and Kali will soon be gone. Everywhere, devotees of the sea, hued Lord, are singing sweet songs in his praise. explanatory note. Again, I don't know if it is correct, not correct, but this is what it is available. The Azwar says, may this state of
Alvar, Prabhu.
Alwar. Okay. Alwar says, may this state of affairs flourish thrice over. Hare Krishna Sudarshan Prabhu. After the Vedic pattern of Shanti, 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 all sins, however deadly, having been destroyed, there is no question of the subjects going to hell, and hence there is no work for Yama so far as the denizens of this abode are concerned. Even Kali Purusha will soon become defunct. This. Oh. This was the prophecy of no less than Saint Nam Alwar, blessed by the Supreme Lord with far-sighted knowledge, envisioning the future advent of Tirumankail Alwar and Sri Ramanuj. So it's in that sampradaya they are thinking about Tirumalai Mankai Alwar and Sri Ramanuj, and they are predicting because of them this will happen. But this could be predicted for all over the world, meaning Srila Prabhupada doing it too in a roundabout manner, but it is apparent now. The expression, please note, carries what with it an aura of certainty, the sure fulfillment of this prophecy. This is further reinforced by saying that the entire land is filled with devotees, singing the Lord's praise, leaving no room whatsoever for Yama and his hordes of Kali, or Kali and his agents to step in and play their pranks. If someone wants to go through this whole thing, they could go. And I don't see anything wrong, but if somebody wants to do this, let me post it in this group. So now this is the scripture. Nalayira Divya Prabandham. And I thought just a little bit read it to see if it is bona fide, how it is bona fide scripture. So Nalayira Divya Prabandham 4,000 divine hymns is a collection of 4,000 Tamil verses composed by the 12 Alvars. It was compiled in its present form by Natha Muni during the 9th 10th centuries. The work, an important liturgical compilation of Tamil Alvars who lived between 5th and 8th century CE, marks the beginning of the canonization of the 12 Vaishnava poet saints, and these hymns are still sung extensively today. The Divya Prabandham sings the praises of Narayan, Vishnu, and his many forms. The Alvars sang these songs at various sacred shrines known as the Divya Deshams. The Tamil Vaishnavites, also known as Ubhyanga Vedanti, follow both the Sanskrit Vedas as well as the Tamil language Tiruvayamoli, a work which devotees of Sri Vaishnavism regard as the Tamil Veda. This is the book. In many temples, Srirangam, for example, the chanting of the Divya Prabandham forms a major part of the daily service. It is also recited in some North Indian Vaishnavite temples such as Badrinath. In Divya Prabandham, the Divya Prabandham is recited along with the Vedas, and it is given equal status to the Vedas in the Tenkalai denomination of Sri Vaishnavism, largely due to the efforts of Ramanuj, who enshrined the Divya Prabandhan on the same pedestal as the Vedas. Prominent among his 4,000 verses are the 1,102 verses known as the Tiruvayamoli, verses of the sacred mouth, composed by Namalvar, and which forms the third portion of the overall Divya Prabandham. This is the what we were reading. Namalvar self-identifies as a love-lorn gopi pining for Krishna. So, I mean, I have no reason to disbelieve this, because Sri Ramanuja Acharya, he's one of our great acharyas. He enshrined this, and I know personally that it is sung like this. So, no, so this seems authentic. The only thing for me to comment on this is that it is predicting all the great acharyas who are propagating the holy name, not just Srila Prabhupada. Meaning, it is fulfilling because this is going to happen all over the world. So this is like Ramanujacharya is doing the same thing, other Madhvacharya is doing the same thing, and Srila Prabhupada is doing the same thing. It is not specifically to Srila Prabhupada, but it includes Srila Prabhupada too, and so there is, especially out of India. Any comments, Prabhus? Anything? Okay, so let's discuss the problem with why, what happens, why, first of all, why is this happening that devotees are misquoting or extrapolating in their like enthusiasm to glorify Srila Prabhupada. We are not saying anybody that devotees are wanting to not glorify Srila Prabhupada or anything, but to try to portray Srila Prabhupada as something um, which is not in the predictions. That is something, or extrapolating the predictions or giving extra predictions. Why? And why is that happening, and what is wrong with it? Is there anything wrong with it? I leave it to devotees. Please let us bring this out in our discussion from scriptures. What is wrong or right in this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu?
I think it's like because it seems like Prabhupada is being glorified, but still it keeps being cheating. So either we glorify or don't. It is cheating. So we must be sure that the quotes are there, like they are bona fide. Otherwise, it's like cheating, right? Like we can say that Krishna came to Mexico City, Mexico many thousands of years ago. So Krishna can come because he's all powerful, but still it is cheating, right? Like I don't want to criticize. I don't mean to criticize any religion, but I was part of some particular Christian religion where they used to say that Jesus Christ came to North America, right? But there is not like evidence at all about Jesus Christ coming to North America. So it's very nice because we used to think Jesus Christ came to this continent, so we glorify Jesus Christ because of that. But still, it is cheating, so it is not proper. So it's very nice what you are doing about these predictions on Srila Prabhupada. There is this extra, I don't know if, because I couldn't attend since the beginning, but there is this kind of prediction. Govinda Dasi is telling that she found some paper in the 70s in Heretic, something like that, where some astrologer, well-known astrologer, it is mentioned like it is commonly, or it is how to say, it is propagated through internet that some well-known astrologer, I don't know which well-known astrology, that maybe you I can post this, maybe it was there, I don't know. So I don't know if that can count as some prediction, but yeah, my view is that it is cheating. Though it is glorifying Prabhupada, it is still cheating.
Mhm. Why is it cheating when it is done for the purpose of glorification of the Lord?
Because it was never mentioned, something like that, so that itself is cheating. Like if we say that Prabhupada did this or did that, but he didn't, then still it is cheating. So cheating is something that never happened.
But these quotes are not saying Srila Prabhupada did something different. They are saying Srila Prabhupada, except that Senapati Bhakta thing, which is only saying one devotee is the Senapati Bhakta of his army, instead of saying many Senapati Bhaktas of many armies, which also correlates. I forgot to mention that also correlates with the branches of Chaitanya tree. And each branch is, we can think of as different armies and Senapati Bhaktas of each of those armies. because there are shakha and upashakha also of these branches. So apart from that, I don't know if any of the quotes are talking about something which Srila Prabhupada did not do. So how is it cheating finally? Because it's finally being done in the glorification of the Lord.
Well, regarding that Chaitanya Mangala translation of this devotee, I think like the interpretation was that it is singular subject, right? So because we don't have access, I don't know which language was written Chaitanya Mangala originally, Bengali or
Bengali and Sanskrit.
Bengali and Sanskrit. So we don't have access to that, but still, if the Sanskrit or Bengali are referring to plural, still we should present things as they are, right? Not as we think they may be. That's why Bhagavad Gita is called as it is. So this series is very, very strict. So if it is talking about plural, then we must put plural. Now, we may include Prabhupada there. For sure, Prabhupada must be included there, but we cannot deny the fact that it is not talking in singular, but plural. So still it is like, yeah, I don't know if we now call it in that case cheating, but it is like kind of like not showing the full truth, because partially Prabhupada applies for sure, partial, but it is not showing the total truth, but only a partial truth by translating into like referring as singular when it is plural. So I don't know if that counts as cheating itself, but it's not showing the whole truth, but some partial truth.
Mhm. So what is the danger, Prabhu, and in in doing so? Why should we bother about it? I'm trying to like go deeper into the subject of uh, why we should be so exact in our honestly we should look at the thing and impartially, objectively, and I mean that's how Srila Prabhupada kind of does, like, and so at least he would like us to do like that, to really look at it, whether it's wrong or right, we should be able to say it as it is. So, but what is the danger for us, for others? Is there any danger like that? Why should we be careful?
Well, I may play the part of a non-Srila Prabhupada's disciple, let's say someone from other branch, right? Not exactly from Gaudiya Math or ISKCON, but I don't know, some Navadvip Goswami group. And what is, I could say that my guru was also included in that plural. Why only Prabhupada? That may be said now. Also, maybe there are some other personalities that we are not recognizing because of the use of singular, right? Prabhupada. But maybe there are some other personalities who are also fulfilling this prediction on Chaitanya Mangala, but because we are mistranslating or we are interpreting wrongly, then we are not recognizing those highly elevated souls that may be there, some Paramahamsas fulfilling this prediction. So I think we may be skipping something, right?
Right. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Anyone else, please? Would you like to comment? Christoph, Prabhu?
So yeah, for the last point, I would don't wait too much, because obviously, I mean, just everyone can see that right now, at this point in time, there's no one else in the Vaishnava, no other Vaishnava personality like Srila Prabhupada bringing Krishna consciousness to throughout the world, right? So preaching it throughout the world. So that's basically self-evident. Of course, sure, there are other Vaishnava personalities who, in their certain areas, do great things, but on a worldwide scale, Srila Prabhupada is like so far the only personality in this certain point of time, right? But nevertheless, of course, main problem is it's also a kind of book changing, right? So we already see what happens in our branch when we start to change books, and even there we have basically a primary source, right? So we have Bhagavad Gita as a primary source. We have full word by word translation. We actually have still the original commentary by Srila Prabhupada. And so we can see what happens if only a little bit is changed here and there and changed here and there, and not really described, not really shown what was and why was something done, or even at all, that something was done. It's still presented as a primary source, right? But actually it's not anymore because it's changed. So if we have now the quotes that you gave, these are not primary source quotes, right? So they already translation. So this is already where the doubt starts, right? So because we don't see what is original, no one really knows. Maybe someone knows, but even great Vaishnava scholars don't really know what is original. So we don't have a word by word translation. So we actually, I mean, it's a nice story, so to say. It's a nice point, but it's a secondary source, if at all, right? Maybe even third, whatever. So it's not primary source material. So is it really necessary? Does it really have a big impact if it's not correctly translated? Personally, probably not. But now just skip forward, right? So at the end, suddenly, you could imagine if you just look at the Christian story. So you have Jesus, most likely, from our perspective as well, appearing 2,000 years ago. At the end, after so many apostles and different and a whole Christian history with the Romans and so on and so on. I don't know if how much everyone is knowledgeable about these facts or about this story itself. But so at the end, you suddenly have like Jesus is God, right? So from our perspective, not really, right? But from a Christian perspective, and probably also from first Christian perspective, no. But now, 2,000 years later, people died for that. The religious wars and millions of people died because of different ideas who Jesus Christ is. So at some point, if you don't stick to truthfulness, you could predict that maybe, and we already saw this in the beginning of the movement, right? When I think it was Brahmananda and a couple other devotees, right? So they brought in this idea that Srila Prabhupada is actually, Vishnu Tattva basically, and he's actually a expansion of Sri Krishna, and right. So you could see that at some point in time, this seems to be like in general a problem with religions, that founders of religions get to God level. I mean, to full God level, right? So we agree, of course, as we discussed. Also, Srila Prabhupada had like special powers, or is like in that sense also avatar and so on. But we don't say that Srila Prabhupada is like Vishnu Tattva, right? So that's not what we're saying. But then you also see in other Vaishnava movements, I think the Swami Narayan, do you know maybe Swami Narayan movement? So they also, as I'm not really fully not knowledgeable there, but as far as I understand, they also think that their founder is like Vishnu Tattva. So it happens, and the Vaishnavism is not protected in that sense, right? So you see that in Christian faith, you can see that in Vaishnava faith. So this is definitely something which potentially could happen if you start to bring more and more stories or hear some. And then also, like, one thing is primary source, right? So where everyone is agreeing, like, okay, this is Bhagavad Gita, this is like Vedic scripture, comes directly from Sri Krishna, and then by the Vaishnava saints, it's conserved, right? And then then you have stories, right? So you have Prabhupada memories of different Prabhupada disciples, and everyone brings like really interesting points of view, how they experience Srila Prabhupada, which is all nice, but it's not authoritative, right? So people can also make things up, or people can say certain things because of protecting their power, as we saw in ISKCON history, right? So people say certain things just because they also get a it also shines light on their own actions. They also boost their own actions by that. So that's why it should be we should always be very, very careful in the grand things. Just for personally, fine. If I accept these verses, I mean, it would be nice to go more into to really understand and to really. But what I'm saying is, it's not really changing my perception of Srila Prabhupada, whether this quote is correct or not, right? We doesn't need to have even more glorification, which is maybe false. Why do we need that? We don't need potentially false glorification. There's already so much. It's already self-evident by his verifiable actions and everything that he's one of the most influential Vaishnava saints in all history, right? And saints in general. So, all right.
Excellent, Prabhu, excellent. So your main couple of points, but the main point I understood from it is that it could these false predictions or extrapolation predictions could finally could also start to put Srila Prabhupada as Vishnu Tattva sometimes finally. Like
Actually, we could say in that sense, trying to glorify, with false glorification could actually diminish the reputation, right? And then also just seeing it from a more conspiratorial point of view. I mean, these are also could be already also used as techniques by demon. Like if you make like ridiculous claims to basically diminish someone else's reputation, right? So that can also be just like mental tactics to diminish someone's reputation, right?
very good. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very good to understand that. I didn't think like that. It could be made to make in some years into Srila Prabhupada as Vishnu Tattva. Some prediction is pulled out from some scripture like this. Anyone else, Prabhu? Yes, Pradyumna.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry.
Yeah, bro, just like I just recall that Srila Prabhupada one morning walk. It is a video also. He's saying that they are creating all these that Ajagar Vritti, that they are creating these all gardens and we are going using. But yeah, we cannot use, but Srila Prabhupada that we are using in that way. They are not like materialistic or we can use for preaching purpose like. So there is nothing harm in it if we use it for Srila Prabhupada. One thing, uh, because we are using, so there is nothing harm in it because everything is used for preaching purpose. Second thing, harm is that one problem is that just like we are using it for Srila Prabhupada, as Christoph Prabhu said that we have no doubt about that Srila Prabhupada is likely. But afterwards, he can use that. He can make some stories and that it is like for me. Then if we tell him, then he will tell that you are also doing it for Srila Prabhupada and I am also preaching. So that can be.
Nice. Yes, Christoph, Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
No, I didn't want to say anything more.
Anyone else? So this one, let me take you to my personal experience. Why I became a little bit concerned when I like I'm maybe because of the legal thing which I've been doing for so many years, but I try to go really like deep into the authentic sources for everything kind of in my world. I try to really find out whether somebody has really said, even in normal people saying, this person said that, this person said that. I kind of try to match it and then try to really go to the source to understand, not to just jump into, so that's kind of generally what I've come to believe, my worldview. But a few things happened in previously, and I was like so surprised to know that later on when I thought over it, that how did and I and many devotees get bewildered. And so because of this prediction thing, so I wanted to show you these. Like when I was before that, so when I was a new bhakta, no, in Bangalore, and so there at that time when I joined, or just even before joining, they were saying, "Oh, Jayapataka." Before it was like a zonal acharya system still in Bangalore. So only Jayapataka Maharaj used to, mostly he only came, but only he used to give Diksha. And Madhupran Prabhu was of the opinion that if we have different disciples, guru in the temple, then the unity will go away and the focus will go away, which is actually should be applied to Srila Prabhupada, but at least he was thinking like that. So only he used to perform initiations. And to kind of, I don't know, whatever reason, the thing which was used to propagate it was that two things. One is that he is one of the eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya, because Srila Prabhupada said so, and because Srila Prabhupada appointed him to initiate. Now, I was told this by all the devotees, including the senior devotees, including Madhupani Prabhu, Chandrapati Prabhu. It was like the normal thing. And there we used to have, I remember after the initiation and everything, I was like 2 3 months old, I think, in the temple, and I saw these. They used to produce these. I don't know what was the magazine called, but for glorification of Acharya. It was for the disciples of Acharya Pad. That was his like name, like Prabhupada. No, so all of them had their own names like this: Vishnu Pad, Acharya Pad, Bhakti Pad. Everyone created their own names. So this was like Acharya Pad. So now Acharya Pad books, like for his disciples, there was this book to keep everybody together with the glorification. So I read this article. This was produced by Bangalore management. And this was an article was there which actually was saying this quote of Srila Prabhupada is talking about how Acharya Pad is the one of the eternal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, after reading that, no, then all the questions fall away. Like any questions anybody has about Guru, whether Guru, what is the symptom of Guru, I mean, like you would disregard them. No? Like even though one is reading Srila Prabhupada books, any doubt comes, then this thing would come. It happened to me. So, oh, he is eternal. So I don't need to bother about these things. He is eternal. Srila Prabhupada said so. And Srila Prabhupada appointed him Guru. And for like 1 year, I was into this, even though I could see Srila Prabhupada is saying differently about the Guru's qualifications and the function of Guru, what he does with the Divya Gyan, all these things are so clear, Srila Prabhupada's books. But because of these, and because of the temple president and temple vice president, who are like the most senior devotee and most respected devotee, were saying so. So, not just me, other devotees also were thinking the same way. And I was kind of, maybe because I came from outside and not grown up there, became a devotee there. And so I was like kind of not in the group thinking. So I started more and more thinking about it. No, it can't be correct. How can Srila Prabhupada make him like an eternal associate, can say he's eternal associate, or he is a Diksha Guru? I can't figure out because his philosophy doesn't match. So gradually I evolved in a year, and then I gave up. The only thing I couldn't then figure out, I could understand that this prediction is not the actual prediction. And then the the only thing I couldn't figure out is that Srila Prabhupada appointed him as guru. Then of course Mother Prabhu, when he came in touch with the Ritwik philosophy and the final order, he shared with me the July 9th letter, and then that's when that got cleared up. But this I want to show you this. I want to show you this. This is from his, is similar like that book now is jayapatakaswami.com, a disciple of His Divine Grace, Yogi Swami Prabhupada. But this is for his disciples to associate with him, and like that. See, this is from that book. Jayapataka Swami is an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. And this whole thing goes on about a senior devotee from Radhanath Maharaj's camp. He is saying he heard Srila Prabhupada say that Chaitanya, Jayapataka Swami is the eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. Just imagine. And he's saying so boldly, I mean, he must have said something. And that quote of Srila Prabhupada was also something like, all of you were were at, like all of you, not just one devotee, or like all of you, or you all, or something like this, that you were like you have been sent by Lord Chaitanya to propagate his mission, or something like that, because we are eternally devotees of Krishna, and it is just hidden. So it's something like that. I forgot which quote was being taken out of out of context. But they don't quote that quote anymore, because I think that has been proven false. So now the new thing is that Srinathji, he made this whole prediction, or not prediction, his interpretation of what Srila Prabhupada said. You could read it. I can post that too. See, Guru Maharaj has taken over the mood of Lord Nityananda, and hence his attention goes to the weakest of the weakest souls. He is looking to somehow deliver the mercy of Lord Chaitanya to these unfortunate souls who are otherwise not much attended to by others. Guru Maharaj classes are directed to the most newest and weakest devotees in the audience. I mean, it goes on, it just keeps on. Oh my God. We have to understand as disciples of an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. We can't explain how fortunate we are to be connected to a pure devotee in discipleship. It is indeed a great privilege. And this privilege comes responsibility to conduct our work. It doesn't talk about Srila Prabhupada's, the whole, from his books, the quality of the status, the function of a guru, of a Diksha guru. Doesn't. It's all this sentimental thinking. So this is the danger I feel. One of the dangers is that, like Krishna Prabhu also saying, some quote could be made into, like, no, who was saying this? Pradyumna Prabhu, that some quote could be made into one of us, you know, like, like this
So,
devotee.
yes, Prabhu. Like no, anybody can make like this, and he will quote that Srila Prabhupada has said like this, or I was telling is that Srila Prabhupada, you all are using it for Srila Prabhupada preaching purpose, so we can also use it for anybody for preaching.
That's right. I see. It's a very good point. Anyone would like to comment further on this point?
Yeah, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, we have one devotee, Prabhu. He is from Maharashtra. His name is Yashodananda Prabhu, young man. So he came in contact. That Hare Krishna. This name, Srila Prabhupada photograph. Is with us.
And who is this His Holiness Pankaj Angri Narsimha? Who? Hare Krishna Prabhu. His Holiness Pankaj Angri Narsimha. Anyway, so this is so that is the danger I feel that if we so it boils down to this what Srila Prabhupada writes here, how careful we need to be to go into the scriptures really carefully to see. This is the verse which I have often posted here, and I wanted maybe we could discuss this. Let me go to that 6135 purport. Let's do that. Because we are talking about interpretations, like how do we understand any scripture, anything being told to us by anybody? What is evidence? What is proofs? So how to like see from the eyes, how should the eyes see and ears hear this knowledge gathering? Which one should we accept as truth and which one not? Like that is the root question for us, because we could get diverted by, like I got diverted, and like by somebody told me, like senior devotees were telling me, oh, Jayapataka Swami is the eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. I accepted it. That Srila Prabhupada has made him Diksha Guru, authorized him to initiate disciples. I accepted it. Now, of course, when we are new devotees, we tend to accept whatever the senior devotees are saying. But how should we ourselves, how should we train devotees who are newly coming? And how should we say things to them which may take devotees in a different direction, which is not exactly in the parampara, where the danger becomes like these. Like one can over glorify somebody and make Srila Prabhupada into God or something like this, like something he has not done, or like, or glorify one of us, or do some other activity which is not actually written or predict or said by Srila Prabhupada, and then the parampara, goes off like this. Like Sahajya paramparas, 13 paramparas which have happened, Srila Prabhupada explains one place, he's explaining they are actually better than impersonalism because they actually accept Krishna as a supreme person. You've got it. But they are sentimentalism. They are not basing it on, what was the word he uses? But they are not to the right, to find the right word, what he says, the right like line or right way they are not practicing, because of which it will take long time for them to come to the platform of pure devotional service. So that why these paramparas, why these sampradayas came together, these upper sampradayas which are called Sahajiyas, 13 sampradayas, upper sampradayas, because somehow one devotee, two devotee, like the leaders, they started to misinterpret something, some scriptural reference or some activity, some instruction, and then goes into a different direction. So it's a great danger for us if we don't interpret things or read the scriptures properly. So this particular verse, no, would someone like to read this? This is which one is this? This is, there is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Yeah. So this is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But after Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya spoke for about 7 days and nights, he was speaking, and Lord Chaitanya didn't say anything. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, what's going on? Why aren't you replying? Are you able to understand? Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started talking, and he's saying, you are interpreting. And he says, for each sutra, direct meaning must be accepted without interpretation. However, you simply abandon the direct meaning and proceed with your imaginative interpretation. The direct meaning is the mukhya artha is the direct meaning, and the gauna artha is the indirect meaning. And the kalpana, imagining, abhidavriti, the meaning that is understood immediately, you are not taking. Instead, you are going to the interpretative meaning, imaginative meaning. So then he explains how should one do it. And Srila Prabhupada very beautifully quoting Srila Jiva Goswami, he explains this in detail. Would somebody like to please read this verse?
Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'll read Prabhu.
Please, yes.
प्रमाणेर मध्ये श्रुति प्रमाण प्रधान श्रुति है मुख्यार्थक आहे शेषे प्रमाण. Synonyms. Pramanera, of the evidences, Madhye, in the midst, Shruti, the Vedic version, Pramana, evidence, Pradhana, chief, Shruti, the Vedic version, A, whatever, Mukhyartha, chief meaning, Kahe, says, say, the indeed, Pramana, evidence, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Although there is other evidence, the evidence given in the Vedic version must be taken as foremost. Vedic versions understood directly are first-class evidence. Purport. Works that should be consulted are Srila Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha 1011, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary on that, and the following verses of the Brahma Sutra, Shastra Yonitvat 113, Tarka Pratishthanat 2111, and Shrutestu Shabdham Moolatvat 2127, as commented upon by Sri Ramanujacharya, Sri Madhvacharya, Sri Nambarkacharya, and Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan. In his book Sarva Sambhadini, Srila Jiva Goswami has noted that although there are 10 kinds of evidence in direct perception, the Vedic version, historical reference, hypothesis, and so on, and although they are all generally accepted as evidence, the person presenting a hypothesis, reading the Vedic version, perceiving or interpreting by his experience, is certain to be imperfect in four ways. That is, he is subject to committing mistakes, to becoming illusion, to cheating, and to having imperfect senses. Although the evidence may be correct, the person himself is in danger of being misled due to his material defects. Apart from the direct presentation, there is a chance that an interpretation may not be perfect. Therefore, the conclusion is that only a direct presentation can be considered evidence. An interpretation cannot be accepted as evidence but may be considered proof of evidence. In the Bhagavad Gita, at the very beginning, it is stated, Dhritarashtra Vacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsava Mamaka Pandavascheva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. The statements of the Bhagavad Gita are themselves proof that there is a place of religious pilgrimage named Kurukshetra, where the Pandavas and Kurus met to fight. After meeting there, what they do, this was Dhritarashtra's inquiry to Sanjaya. Although these statements are very clear, atheists try to interpret different meanings of the words Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami has warned us not to depend on any kind of interpretation. It is better to take the verses as they are without interpretation.
You want to explain this, Prabhu? Whatever you understood?
So this interpretation would be wrong because human is having four defects. So it is always better not to take the interpretation, take the direct meaning. So this is what, and there was analogy given by Srila Prabhupada that Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra itself, so many scholars, they are trying to predicting in various ways. So it's better always to take the direct meaning. That is what I understood.
This see he says about 10 kinds of evidence. We have heard of 3, no? Shruti Praman, Anuman Praman, and
Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman.
Pratyaksh.
Pratyaksha Praman.
Now he expands it further into 10 kinds of evidences. Direct perception, which is Pratyaksha Praman, the Vedic version, which is Shruti, historical references, which is Smriti, hypothesis, which is Anuman Praman, and so on. I don't know which one are the other one. The person presenting a hypothesis, reading the Vedic version, perceiving or interpreting by his experience. So this experience is kind of in the direct perception, but interpreting is. So this is kind of another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5 are stated here. So what happens when I came to Krishna consciousness, I experienced it like that. So it is like that. You see, and many times it happens that like devotees who were with Srila Prabhupada, fortunate enough to be with Srila Prabhupada, let's say they joined in 68 or 74 or 77 in a certain section of the world, at different time periods and different sections. So as they perceived, like coming to Krishna consciousness, how Srila Prabhupada was being treated or thought of in that particular region or temple or at that time, and what Srila Prabhupada was saying at that time, those all become like, from their perspective, that becomes the way, the only way, kind of. That is how Srila Prabhupada is. And we also have the same thing. Let's say I join in Bangalore. This is how the worldview should be. This is how Srila Prabhupada has told. This is how we should be. We can also, all of us can fall into so many ways of perceiving what Srila Prabhupada is saying, what the direct scripturally, what he's really intending to say from that conclusions, not just sometimes brings up this point, sometimes brings up that point, and then he concludes. Sometimes not in the same place, different purports he is concluding. It's a line of thought going on. So are we really taking this conclusory statements of Srila Prabhupada without putting our own top interpretation on top of it, what we hear from others or experienced others, or this is what I feel what Srila Prabhupada is saying here. See, perceiving or interpreting my experience is certain to be imperfect, because we are all imperfects. Our experience while coming to Krishna consciousness, all of this could be imperfect. It may be like so important to us when we were coming and becoming Krishna conscious, and because of trying to hold on to the faith, because at that time I experienced many times when doubts come or something, at that time I understood Krishna like that or Srila Prabhupada like that, and that held me in Krishna consciousness. So that is the truth, for absolute, like all people, all circumstances kind of truth, not for me particularly time, place, circumstance application. So, and we don't want to give it up many times, because it is like um, like that is holding us together. That is part of our component of our faith. But Srila Prabhupada is making the point that part of that faith should be based on actual direct interpretation of actual direct meaning of the scriptures. What Lord Chaitanya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is making this point in this previous verse. Direct meaning, mukhya artha, not the indirect meaning, gona artha. So more we are able to do that, no? Like to remove all those little flimsy faiths based on our all interpretation or limited faith or limited way of looking at things, and more we replace that with actual direct meanings of direct understanding of what Srila Prabhupada is really wanting to say deeply, more and more I feel we would be in parampara of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Srila Prabhupada. That is what keeps us in parampara, not the, externally and all so many ways. The 4.2, Bhagavad Gita 4.2 talks about science, the science to be lost. We have seen it many times. The science, not person or even anything, like it's a science. So anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about. Any discussions on it, Prabhu? Different angles?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
Prabhu, you just that told na that we should take direct meaning, mukhya artha. So I was just like, I was talking to one person. He was I just give that example, Srila Prabhupada analog given that Kurukshetra means that. I just told him that Kurukshetra is place. How can you interpret like this? So he was telling, no, everywhere we cannot take direct. Just like Krishna is saying, Sar Dharman Paritajya Mamekam. And in 4th chapter, he is saying that Dharm Sansthapanartha. So that everywhere we cannot take the direct meaning, because like this he was telling, because he was quoting that five Pandavas is same thing was quoted by some acharya or somebody in Ashtavakra Gita or somewhere. So he was telling like that. So interpretation.
So that is good. That is very good point. Would somebody like to address that? Any devotee?
Yeah, one more point. The Srila Prabhupada used to say that where it is direct evidence is there, why we should take indirect meaning if it is directly given. But many places just like this dharma sansthapanartha, it is not direct. So how to understand that, and how to know that thing?
I was sorry, I was reading this message. Who is the Hare Krishna devotee who posted this? However, Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati, that verse which I was looking for. Very nice. Thank you very much. Who is the devotee?
Yeah, but that is what was the name? Yeah, Prabhu is that devotee, na? Yashodanandan Prabhu is there. He is from Maharashtra.
I see.
So he also
Wonderful. Excellent, Prabhu. Thank you for posting that. So it says, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Very nice. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, first chapter, 34th verse, in the purport Srila Prabhupada is writing, however, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur considered such Sahajiyas to be more favorable than the impersonalists, who are hopelessly atheistic. The impersonalists have no idea of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The position of the Sahajiyas is far better than that of the Mayavadi sannyasis. Although the Sahajiyas do not think much of Vedic knowledge, they nonetheless have accepted Lord Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, they mislead others from authentic devotional service. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Pradyumna Prabhu, could you repeat that last thing? Christoph Prabhu, you want to say something?
Yeah, but let Pradyumna repeat what he.
Okay. Pradyumna Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu. Yeah, I was just quoting that Srila Prabhupada one statement that where should be interpretation should be made when the things are not clear. If things are clear, then there is no need to make any interpretation or editing. No? But when things are clear, but how to understand when just like na dharm sansthapanarth hai and sarvdharman parityajya. In that condition, people are get deluded.
Yes, Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, so maybe it fits into what I wanted to say. So the interesting word here is interpretation, right? And the question then is like, or the what we need to understand is like, okay, if Srila Prabhupada or or the great Vaishnavas in the line explain Vedic scriptures or a certain Vedic concept or something, it's not an interpretation, right? So this is where it's a Vedic. Here's a Vedic version. Here's a Vedic evidence. The Vedic perception by that you get through accepting Vedic scriptures, but it's not an interpretation. It's not that. It's not coming from the mental platform, right? And so there is interpretation. Basically, always means it's mixed with ahankara, right? So it's always mixed with your false ego perceiving something, and then you interpret what you perceive, right? And then, of course, that always leads to imperfect results because your perception is imperfect, because all these people are not on the rishi platform, so that they're not really seeing the truth. They have to. That's why they need to come and bring an interpretation, right? And if you, as soon as you accept interpretation, then you're basically already you'll be started to be misled. So we basically there's no other way for you to.
Your chat is visible.
Yeah, you share your chat, by the way. I don't know if you want to do that. And so, and that's basically, and the problem is, of course, that we as neophyte devotees, or anyone starting in Krishna consciousness or coming in contact with spiritual knowledge, with Vedic knowledge, if they don't have this concept or that don't really understand, I mean, in the beginning, we don't have the concept, right? So we are all in illusion. Then maybe we get a little glimpse of Vedic knowledge. And we also understand that actually, yeah, we are in darkness. We have no idea. But somehow now we understand a little bit more. And if you're not guard ourselves against still staying humble, but real humility, and always basically start every conversation and everything like with a complete blank mind, and not with, oh, I heard this in the past, I read this book, I have this Vedic concept, so which all can lead to boost our own egos, right? And then we are also lost. So and that's probably really the difference, right? So Srila Prabhupada never gives interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita. It's not his commentary. It's not an interpretation, right? And then it's like, oh, you accept this interpretation of Srila Prabhupada, but you don't accept this other interpretation of this other. No, because Srila Prabhupada is not giving an interpretation. He gives a Vedic version. And how we know that? Because then there are the cross references, everything, right? It's never comes from a mental platform and right. So, and whereas other people, if we had just this story there of Jayapataka, so then it's like
principles of the Vedas.
Secondary sources, just, oh, here's the perception of this Prabhu, everyone is glorifying each other. So this is basically, you already can feel and see, and if you understand this with with this humility aspect, and you easily see, okay, that's just mental speculation, this is just sentimental. So it's easy, but of course for people who don't who are not guarding against this kind of stuff, these kind of ideas, they're easy to fall victim, and they don't, that's the main issue with false ego, right? So if you don't have the humility, even after, as you explained, Nima Prabhu, and also from my experience as well, right? So I have to accept. I see that, yes, in the beginning, I'm still every day. I understand that I'm completely in darkness, and that what I, like 20 years ago, when I started Krishna consciousness and got the first glimpses, now I understand. In so many ways, I was also misled. I was cheating myself, other people are cheating, whatever, right? So I have to have the humility and cannot say like, no, I knew from the beginning, and da 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 da. So you have to. So humility is the key to stay on the road, basically, right? If you don't have that, then you get offended, like, oh, how can you say that my guru is not a pure associate of Srila Prabhupada in the spiritual world and was, whatever, right? So then you get offended because you cannot accept that you potentially could have made a mistake 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever, when you accepted this person as your supreme spiritual guru, right? So you cannot accept that. Your whole worldview would break apart, and then you basically you have to get punched in the face a little longer by Maya to maybe get to a realization. So false ego and interpretation. Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to give. Same.
Very nice. 13.8 Bhagavad Gita, Amanitvam, Adambhitvam. This famous verse. Normally I go to purports, but this lecture is so good. I wanted to, so Krishna, the supreme authority, the supreme person Godhead, he's speaking the process of acquiring knowledge, jnanam, which is the point here. So the first beginning of knowledge is humility. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is taught Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Adi 1731. And even this humbleness and humility is taught everywhere. Without being gentle, humble, how one can be a man of knowledge? At the present moment, the humility is forgotten. Everyone is proud unnecessarily. Although he's nothing, he's proud. So much so that sometimes a rascal says that I am God. This is the modern civilization. He's so puffed up, so proud that one claims to become God, what to speak of other things. No, the first thing is that one must be very humble. This is the process of Vedic knowledge. Vidya means he must be very gentle, namra. That is Vidya. Education does not mean unnecessarily to become proud. And it is very good if someone wants to hear the lecture, keeps on going on this point of humility.
Yeah, that's so nice. So nice to just. And you see immediately, right? So if he's just, is this Srila Prabhupada's interpretation now on this verse? Or is he interpreting? No, he's just in the first sentence, you already see, like, no, he's not interpreting anything. It's just as it is. He's just okay.
No, it's like commentary. We use commentary word, but many other sampradaya, or they use that. Different acharyas have their interpretation on it. They generally Mayavadis, Vedanti, they say that interpretation. They even say that Sripad Shankaracharya has given his interpretation on this. They use that word.
Yes, but this is already showing you from what point of view they view certain things, or I mean, it could also potentially be a misunderstanding of what interpretation is, or how. But this basically shows also just the conflict, right? Because the intellectuals always think like, oh, I'm very learned, and so I give my point of view, I give my opinion, I give my interpretation on certain things, right? And they like to argue, right? But this doesn't really bring you near to. It's just another path. It's a different path, right? So it doesn't really bring you near truth, absolute truth, right? Because it always can, if someone else comes and can, have a nicer argument and is a little bit better with rhetoric and words and so on, so he leads you to a different direction, right? So basically, it's for the people who are too much in their heads, but really on the mental platform. So they're really not, not really in touch, right? So the jnanis, okay, if you're really only on that, then you are basically imprisoned, and you rely basically on interpretation for a long time, And maybe if you're lucky, then at some point you come across someone, who gives you a real glimpse of the Vedic version, right? Or really, really slowly you forward. I mean, we know jnana yoga is of course possible, but I mean, it's long and tedious process.
Yes, Christopher, just like when we are in, just like devotees in ISKCON or in our group, if we tell them that Jai Pataka Swami is that incarnation associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they will accept, but if we go outside, we cannot say that, just like we have to give them evidence or tell them this thing. They will give different arguments, like just like we have spoken about this interpretation, or if we directly say that R is the best one, Srila Prabhupada is given pure devotee. So we cannot start directly from that. Sometimes when intellectuals or others are there, we have to start from starting. That was for my question was.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So why is it that devotees, I mean, how can we know this is correct conclusion? Of the Vedic. This is what Srila Prabhupada writes here, see. Therefore, the conclusion is that only a direct presentation can be considered evidence. To be able to, first of all, to have the determination and humility to accept this statement that I will only accept a direct presentation. And then to be able to perceive the direct presentation. How do we know we are perceiving a direct presentation of any scripture or any writing? What is the way? Because, we have seen devotees take, Srila Prabhupada said so. They quote the same verse. How do we know we are looking at the July 9th letter? We are looking at all the different instructions which Srila Prabhupada has given as actually how we are looking at.
Yeah, I just you just one told how I asked the same question. Then you just quoted from that nectar of devotion, that seventh partner, that if one have that four things, that Sharanagati, or what that four thing, the Yasya Prasada, Bhagat Prasada, if one have that four thing is following, then that then he will get the real thing.
Mhm.
In that text it is written.
Yasya Deve Parabhaktir.
Yeah, in that after giving that fourth thing, that Srila Prabhupada writes something, you just quote that by this he will get the real thing.
Mhm. So that means the faith is more important in the Guru and Krishna than that what one is directly perceiving. So here it is given proof of evidence. So this is evidence and then proof of evidence. So that is fine. But then without that bhakti, this will remain dry and a chance of interpretations and not be able to perceive the direct presentation remains very high. Just by knowledge and knowledge, one cannot really understand these conclusions. That is the understanding that I'm getting now. Right? That is what Krishna says to Arjuna, no? In the Bhagavad Gita. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So, even if there is a direct presentation given, one is not able to access it somehow. Rahasyam, it's a mystery novel. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, there are two classes of man, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as a recipient of this great science owing to his becoming the devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge, and some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, concoct something about Krishna and mislead the public in general and general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited. See, so this mislead, no, how one can get misled, I know that we have been discussing so many times that it finally boils down to one's desire to want Krishna. And then Krishna directs from the heart. He gives faith according to our desire. And one can get misled. So finally boils down to us what our desire is. And even if we don't have knowledge, Krishna will give the right knowledge to us. The first is the right desire, then the requisitive faith in the spiritual master and Krishna, even a theoretical faith that they are completely correct, and then going forward with that. So that is what my thinking is. Anyone else has anything to add on it?
Yeah, Prabhu, just like now when we say this verse na, that Bhaktosi mein Sakha Cheti Rahasya Tuta, they will also say that na, that four kind of people they surrender to Krishna, Shraddhavan. So in that Artha Arthati Gyani Jiga. So after that, Krishna is saying that that Gyani is very dear to me. So those who are from Gyani Sampradaya, they will quote that na, that is, yeah, no, Krishna is saying that Gyani. So just like that is Gyani, and others also, those who are yogi, they will quote na, so that they will say that it is not only that na, bhakti. It is given in 4 chapter. Na, there are 18 chapters. They give many like this. So how to?
Thing is that, I mean, of course, 719 says Bhavanam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate, and then 647 says Yogi
Yoginam.
Visham. So Krishna is like it's a conversation, and in a conversation, people are saying so many things, and then he giving so many, one can see. So that's the thing. Direct perceiving, also one is not able to perceive direct if the bhakti, that blessing is not there. That little, so that it remains a mystery.
But just like now we are having some conversation. So if he will say that I am not bhakta, so then it is not that okay, I will going away. So we have to continue the conversation. At least if somebody is want to understand how it is that. So
Of course, see what happens is innocence when we tell, no, they even if the heart is not accepting because of whatever the material desires are, innocent means that they are humble to know they don't know much and they want to know, and they are not like proud about their whatever the thing is. They are not trying to put artificial blockage to it. That's like innocent. So what the four kinds of people who come to Krishna are innocents. The other four are not innocents. So we explain them, then they understand it logically, but they can't go forward many times because of the material desires are there so prominent. For that, Sukriti is required. The faith is required. More faith comes in Srila Prabhupada, more and more the knowledge will be revealed. The Sukriti meaning, that is why service, engaging them in services, like let's say you meet somebody in outside and you're discussing. First thing is, the book distributors have told me, and I've done it personally, you somehow or other give the book in their hand. The Bhagavad Gita in hand itself is purificatory. And you don't cause somebody to become upset with you, the devotee, the person, so that he is favorably looking and then appreciating. That increases the Sukriti the most, like so fast, by appreciating devotees. And then taking donation, eating, that increases their Sukriti. So basically, we try to engage them in service by which Sukriti rises so that they can get the faith to accept it. But the material desires will keep pushing here, there. But if the faith is enough and Srila Prabhupada can push through his statements, then one kind of, like it happened to us, oh my God, this is correct. Even if we are not able to do, we will say, okay, this is the right conclusion. That's my thinking. What do you think, Krishna Kishore Prabhu? You are still there? Shuddha Sattva Prabhu, you want to comment on it when you are this whole subject? Are you there or busy?
Yeah, one more thing. Yeah, I try like this only. I will give a book or take some donation. But one situation comes when many people are standing, all of it, that kind of upstart he comes and he starts saying like this, So at that time, what should we should move away, or you just said just like different modes. Brahmana has to tackle him in different way. Kshatriya, like how to do that thing, just like sometimes
I
happens like this.
argue. Yes, Krishna Kishore Prabhu, we want to hear from you. How would you handle, why do you think this kind of interpretation keeps happening? And at what stage interpretation will not happen, but actually understanding will be revealed, the right conclusions, the direct meaning, how will it be, how will that come?
So he wrote something in text.
Okay, you must be outside, no problem. So yeah, so Srila Prabhupada, see, more we argue rightly, meaning on the scripture rightly, like Shastrat, not Kutark. The more we argue, more it becomes ingrained in us and more new points come. I love it, because if it is done in a proper environment, if like bad argument is not, I have been at fault many times about it. But I want to do it more and more because I know it's so useful, like so much knowledge, understanding, revelation, appreciation, humility also, it comes from that. Even if we are winning, we see so many arguments are coming which we never knew we had. So we think, oh my God, Krishna is giving us. I mean, so it is like a devotional service. Not like, it is devotional service to argue about the Lord's prominence and his, to establish the truth. No? If we cannot argue and defeat, then we should go away. Otherwise, the first thing is to argue and defeat.
Sometimes that also happens. Someone is very innocent, very intelligent, but he will not accept, and scriptures he will not take it like, no, okay, that is the evidence. So sometimes they come like this and that, and but they do not take any evidence from scriptures. They will say, okay, it is in Bhagavad Gita, na? In Quran also they will say something like it, in Bible also. But yeah.
So if they don't accept scriptures, which is what exactly what Srila Prabhupada says in the preaching in the West, people don't accept scriptures. So we have to preach it through reason and logic. He gives example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doing it. Let me pull it up. He actually exactly says that. Oh, reason and logic. 1 second, let me pull that up. Where did it go? I don't like it when I can't find it right away. This was in reference to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preaching to the Buddhists, because they were not accepting any Vedic scriptures. So let me see if I can pull that out. So one is that without killing animals, Srila Prabhupada writes that it is very difficult. One cannot understand religion or God. But he goes on to describe, this is from Madhya 25:20. सर्व शास्त्र खंडी प्रभु भक्ति करे सार सब्युक्तिक वाक्य मन फिराया सबार. Sarva Shastra Khandi, defeating all the false conclusions of different scriptures. Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhakti Kare Sar, established the predominance of devotional service. Sa Yuktika Vakya, by talks full of pleasing logic and arguments. Mana Firaya, turns the minds, Sabara, of everyone. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When people came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to discuss the principles of Vedic various scriptures, the Lord defeated their false conclusions and established the predominance of devotional service to the Lord. With logic and argument, He very politely changed their minds. Purport. We have been spreading the Sankirtan movement in the Western countries, and in our recent tour of European cities like Rome, Geneva, Paris, and Frankfurt, many learned Christian scholars, priests, philosophers, and yogis came to see us. And by the grace of Krishna, they agreed that this Krishna consciousness movement, the Bhakti cult, offers the topmost conclusion. Following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are trying to convince everyone that the devotional service of the Lord is enjoined in every scripture. If a person is religious, he must accept the supreme authority of the Lord, become his devotee, and try to love him. This is the real principle of religion. It does not matter whether one is Christian, Mohammedan, or whatever. He simply must accept the sublime position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and render service unto Him. It is not a question of being Christian, Mohammedan, or Hindu. One should be purely religious and freed from all these material designations. In this way, one can learn the art of devotional service. This argument appeals to all intelligent men, and consequently, this Krishna consciousness movement is gaining ground throughout the world. Due to our solid logic and scientific presentation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction that Krishna consciousness will spread in every town and village throughout the world is gradually being realized. The key word which I don't follow is politely change the minds. And as soon as people received instruction from from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they began to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Thus everyone laughed, chanted, and danced with the Lord. Thus the effect and purpose of understanding the above instruction is that, oh, that's, sorry. Maybe it's Prabhupada, I don't know. Anyway, so this is what it is, that by understanding the instruction, the result, I mean, perfect way of preaching would be by solid logic and argument. Oh, start chanting Hare Krishna mantra, not go away. Okay, shall we finish here? Any other thoughts, Prabhus? Any other comments, anyone?
Yeah, so I want to ask one thing. It is a little different. Just like I hear Srila Prabhupada lecture with transcript, na, in that Veda base, and hearing with that, na, Srila Prabhupada's audio is going on. So can I put that little faster, fast forward Srila Prabhupada's voice, just like 1.25 or? Mm,
The whole thing is of attentively hearing. So
yeah, but this,
one is able to, the principle is to attentively hear, and not be like a ritualistic hearing. So that is all. To say, if someone may have a capacity of able to grasp in the fast forward, then who is to say? Finally, this is the principle, attentive hearing. Those devotees also, so many times they speak so fast. Some devotees speak slow. So what is the problem? Okay. Anyone else, folks? Leo Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavas Pranams. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I don't know exactly what to input. There's a lot of good points. So all I could just say is just going down to the source, like everything has been, breaking down as you stated and everyone else. There has to be at least a group of devotees or association of devotees that have that. So and there's always the other side where there is no sourcing of anything, whether it comes down to footage or quotes, whether the intention could be pure. So yeah, that's pretty much, everything is either subjective or objective as well. So the objective part is definitely the absolute truth.
Mhm.
I don't know what else more to say. Everything has been stated. Very eloquent.
His Holiness Pankaj Prabhu, anything you want to say? Okay, let's finish here. The non-proven quotes, just in the final thing, this just so people who join later or whatever, this idam sthanam paritajya videsham gamyate maya, leaving this place I'll go for abroad to preach bhakti, that does not even exist. 194.57 is not that verse, nor is there any verse like that in 194. So that is all not there. Then the one which is there's Lochan Das Thakur in Sutra-khanda, this verse, Ebe Naam Sankirtan Karela Antara Sura Jivera Fileba Katiya Yadi Papi Chadi Dharma Dure Deshe Yaya Mora Senapati Bhakta Yeibe Tathaya. That is being interpreted as one like singular Senapati Bhakta, the military commander of one army. But in this same Sutra-khanda, poem 12, which is poem 12, the whole poem is about multiple devotees, gurus, acharyas, parishes, associates, and which is in line with 11.532. And so we don't know why this interpretation is done in a singular. And Krishna Kishore Prabhu's maybe he may be able to find that out for us. He has this bent of mind, and he thinks that Purna Prjna Prabhu's translation has this singular. So maybe we could find that out, somebody, or he could find that out why he did the interpretation like that. And Bhavishya Puran that we were reading, that is already unauthentic. I mean, it's not authentic many times. We don't know which passages are authentic, which are not. So we don't know. And Chaitanya Bhagavat, this is authentic. This one is, we don't know. And so, and this Ramanuja Madhvacharya Sampradaya quotes, none of them we found. Divya Pradhan was not existing. This one is just like last chapter, no verse, Madhvacharya. And it is speaking about Sri Madhvacharya and Ramanujacharya's. I couldn't even find this book. It should be existing, but again, there is no actual reference of the verse. And Nam Alvar we found polige in the way I can't, the way they were beautiful, but it also refers to Sri Ramanujacharya and other Alvar, but not just Srila Prabhupada, but it can be extended to Sri and this Bhakti Devi code does not even exist. And Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of course, it exists. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's indication also. This I couldn't find. But anyway, so these were the previous things. Let's stick to what Srila Prabhupada, we know, Sakshat Hari, as, I mean, the prediction about the movement will be spread all over the world, which Srila Prabhupada did. So that way we know he's been Shakti Vesh, he's been given the Shakti to do this. Okay, Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna.
yes, Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhu, one more point. That means just like in Padma Puran, they sometimes quote Srila Prabhupada's that reference that na Prachan Mayavad he will destroy, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that na Mayavad and Prachan Bhav, that is Buddhist. They are hidden Mayavadis like this na. There is some code they used to say it is for it can be used for Srila Prabhupada also and Madhvacharya also. That we can discuss afterward.
Okay. Ramanujacharya also, no, he defeated impersonalism the first time. I mean, all the acharyas are defeating from Lord Chaitanya onwards. I mean, all the Ramanuja Sampradaya, all the acharyas, Madhvacharya Sampradaya, all the acharyas, they've been really heavily defeating. Actually, Srila Prabhupada in one conversation to one Ramanuja follower is saying, Sri Ramanujacharya is one of our acharyas. His arguments against the impersonalists are what are incorporated in our scriptures. Basically, he is of our acharya. We have learned from him how to defeat Mayavadi philosophy. So maybe somebody can find it and post it.
Yeah, one more that it is sufficient to break the teeth of Mayavadis. Ramanujacharya's Srila Prabhupada's one quote is there. I will send that.
And Yashodanand Prabhu, if you're still there, maybe you can find that quote. It's not there. Maybe he's there. Hare Krishna. About when he's talking about Ramanujacharya is one of our acharyas, he learned the quotes and his arguments against impersonalisms from him. There's a conversation like that going on with the Indian man who is supposedly with Ramanujacharya Sampradaya. Okay, Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam. Please do. I don't know what the topic. I think we'll go forward in Prabhupada Leelamrita as it is, and we'll look at his childhood and other things. On the philosophical aspect of his coming is kind of, we have really rigorously gone through from different angles, and now let's start with his childhood pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, one organizational question. So is it always a little bit earlier now? So this time again, I think it was like 1 hour
The
earlier
time
than
in New York
we had
has
before. Yeah, sure. Here also, I mean, a couple of weeks ago.
yeah, so
No,
maybe
because I just my calendar was always 1 hour later for a long time, and then last 2-3 times suddenly it was a little bit earlier, which
timing
is
has changed in New York. So I mean, Indian time is the same. I don't know, German time also may have changed.
yeah, it has. So
I-
actually, that's why I'm a little bit confused because actually it should be then the same time again.
because in India it becomes too late because
Yeah,
we,
that's the problem, of course. Yeah, I understand. Okay, yeah. So let's see. Maybe I cannot come then sometimes, but or only later.
okay. Hare Krishna.
All right. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All Goshe Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kipasindubhya Vicha Patitanam
पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो